B, expense reports from the mayor, National League of Cities, Washington, D.C., May 6 through 12, 2020, in the amount of $5,893.36.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second, it moved in second. Okay. Now, any questions on it?
Question.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, Mayor, when I looked at this, it's the $5,893 for a National League of Conference I found to be extremely high. We amended the travel budget, and we talked about it in depth about travel. Travel with the council members have been an issue with citizens. We addressed it by going back and amending the travel orders and understanding what council members should and should not have. For your travel to DC for the National National League of City Conference, it was 7 days. Now I've been to NLCs for 5 years. We just had one in November. We attended. You did too. Why was it 7 days? That's my question.
You're asking me, you say, why was it 7 days?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have no reason. I mean, no answer as to say why was it 7 days. That was the schedule that was presented, but it was a 7-day affair. And there were activities on each of those days that if you were going to be an active participant, you had to be present there for it.
Okay.
And actually, that Friday, if I'm not mistaken, and there were full activities from Friday actually until Wednesday night.
Well, the reason I say that because when we discuss the travel ordinance, we also talked about when we leave for conferences. Okay. Yes, all conferences you have, they run a certain length of day, but there are activities they have. Like for instance, the first day they may have a golf tournament or they may have touring and stuff. When we discussing the cost that the taxpayer pay, we mentioned that we should consider. If we're going for the conferences, we should go for the conferences. All of the stuff that's included in a conference, if council members want to participate in those, they need to do it at their own expense. Okay, because the whole purpose of this is that we attend a conference, attend sessions where we could gain some information, bring back to the city to help better our cities and help us to address issues and stuff. But to go to a conference and attend things that they're putting in the conjunction of it is unfair to taxpayers, because now are we going for the conference to gain knowledge, or are we going for a conference for the whole time and attend just what we want? And what I mean by that is the conferences, like I said, the first day is normally something that they got golf tours of wherever they holding it in the city, because for some people, they go to conferences, they do that. We addressed it. So do we need, the question with council, do council needs to go back and amend the travel order that we get to be so specific that council members don't have the latitude to make decisions on when they're going? Because we don't need to leave for a conference. Every conference, they have registration time. And one thing about all the TML conferences and the NLC conference that we attend, it's easy to find out where most people are going to arrive the day of registration. And that day is normally determined from them on the day they start sessions, no matter if it's TML or NLC. They will start sessions in the morning of the initial day of sessions that they have for us. The day before those sessions is when they set up for us to register.
Unmute you.
We set up our own travel. We don't have to travel because the conference starts, all activity starts on this day and end on that day. The other thing that we discussed when we discussed travel was when we will end. Most of the conferences for the NLC and TML for which we pre-approved, those conferences always in the main part of the conferences at 12 noon on the last day that they have it. And that is so that all participants who choose to leave then be able to check out the hotels and you don't get charged an extra day. So we making these arrangements. We need to take a look at it. And when we go on conferences, we, as council members, if we're going to attend, we discuss it. We should make our decisions so that we can at least register and pay the same registration fees. And then we travel and we come back. So the costs to taxpayers are kept to a minimum as opposed to just running up a tax bill. The other thing we do is we don't get rental cars on the back end of conferences. We don't fly and get a rental car. When we get to an airport, we either have shuttles or take a taxi. In this particular case, you had a rental car, $400 and some, and then you parked it in the hotel and it cost $370 some. Now that's $700 and, well, right at $800. That's unacceptable. I mean, we got to fix this. We cannot travel and do stuff of this nature because we could have taken a taxi from the airport to a hotel and then a taxi back from the hotel to the airport for less than $800. This is taxpayers' money. I don't know who's making the reservations, but if we need to revisit our travel ordinance to clarify it, we need to do it, okay? But that's there. I just don't see where the taxpayers got to be stuck with $800 for something like that. And that's what we just can't allow it. The other thing, the last thing I have is when I look at the packet for which it was submitted at the end, we have $600, 2 additional sessions, okay? Now, when we get these things, these conferences, okay, we pay a registration fee, that the TML or the NLC. For the registration fee, they offer us certain sessions for us to attend free. Even if they have exhibitions, it's free. It's included in the registration. So if we're gonna sign up to go to a conference, when we pay the registration fee, the transportation is arranged for us and our meals are provided. Hotel, registration, transportation, and meals. Anything else a council person wants to do needs to come out that council person's own pocket, not citizens, not taxpayers. I thought we all understood it, but evidently there's a disconnect. But one thing, we cannot put money or have the taxpayer to pay things for which we're not asking. Now the request for these things are for the conference. So my understanding is when you want to go to a conference, there's a registration fee. That registration fee, you participate. They have luncheons at these events. They have exclusions and excursions and all this, but for everything else is a fee. So evidently, this additional charge for these sessions you attended were things you wanted to attend, but is it fair for the citizens? If we are requesting to go to the conference, they give us sessions. At some point in time, this is citizens' money. When we go, we need to ask ourselves, if I got to pay for it out of my pocket, would I do it? If you were going to Washington to this conference, I doubt seriously, just because of get from a hotel to the airport to hotel, you're not going to invest $800 going and coming. I'm just not in favor of this extra money, Mayor. I'm gonna be very frank. This is almost $6,000 for 7 days for NLC conference. I've been attending them for 5 years, and you could go and stay an extra day and attend session, but normally within 5 days is the length of the conference from which they provide sessions. Anything else after that, I don't know what's going on. But this, I'm not in favor of this amount of money. And the city secretary, when I talked to her, she's telling me that, well, we need some clarification because it doesn't say you can't. I don't buy that. Whenever the council start discussing something, it's up to all of us to understand what we're talking about. It's about the intent. The intent of the whole discussion is we need to reduce travel costs to citizens. And when we do that, we need to keep that in mind. When we want to do things, we got to ask ourselves, you know, is it beneficial to the citizens in the city because they got to pay for it? Go because I want to go? I don't think it should be a want. I think we should go to more of a need. And we got to consider cost. If we got to fly all the way to Washington, we got to understand one thing: we're paying a high cost area. It's going to cost money. So that means if we're going to go to Washington, we should limit what else we do to lessen the burden on the taxpayers. I don't know if you did this, Mayor. Maybe you can say why we needed a vehicle, because right now I need to understand why you need a rental car for the whole week with the parking so that I can know how to vote on this.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yeah, Mayor.
Go ahead, Ed.
Some of those things Councilman Dew said, I agree with you, but however, you know, I can understand the need to go into Washington because of having connections that we probably wouldn't get here locally. I understand that I was on the committee along with yourself and Councilwoman, I think it was Moses on that.
Frank.
Councilwoman Frank was on the committee, and we spent a lot of times devising the right travel policy for council. I do think that we need to police ourselves when we talk about travel, and we kind of did that in a nutshell. But however, you know, to make connections, to find ways to bring back to Port Arthur, I don't think you can do that locally. I think you do have to go abroad to find ways to implement and find connections. We may just have to refine the travel policy again, where that we can give staff a directive on what she needs or what they need to do to say, wait, you know, hey, this probably be an additional cost. But I do have to say, actually registering along with yourself, Councilman Doucette, and other council persons, that we go to conference and the cost changes based upon the classes that you attend. Now, it was under my understanding that we bring reports back to the entire council once we figure out, you know, what is going to be beneficial to Port Arthur. And that's how I pick my classes. I just don't pick classes, you know, because it's free or not. I pick the classes based upon the needs. I feel the needs that can help the city of Port Arthur grow. And that's maybe something we should look at. But I wanted to express myself when it comes to how do, we pick our classes or what classes are free. I think the citizens would get a bigger bang for the buck if they understand why we went out and picked classes or find different breakout sessions that was going to be beneficial to Port Arthur. And maybe we should come together, because I think this is an easy fix, Councilman. I think that we can just probably, and I think the mayor was coming on board, but we can probably police ourselves like that was the intention of having this committee.
Okay. Well, first of all, in answer to your response to my question to the mayor, Councilman Kinlaw, whenever we leave out here talking about making connections, we as council members don't travel outside the city limit to do city business or deal with city business without directive of being directed by council, unless we do it at our own cost. That's the first thing. So our duties and responsibilities is here within the city of Port Arthur, servants and citizens. There are cities that do not even pay for their council people to go to conferences, okay? Conferences is not mandatory for us to be effective and do our jobs. We could get a lot of information and bring back. Now, those sessions that they offer at these conferences are normally set up that can help us. So it's not about what we want, okay? And one thing that has been happening is joining other organizations, okay? That should be a no-no, because we as council members, we have a duty and responsibility to serve our citizens and our city. Conference is only a means for us to gain training and education. So if the citizens going to pay for it, we as council members should keep that in mind and go to what we can get. Now, those sessions they give us for the registration fee, they're all geared toward giving us good information to bring back. But to say that we're going to do what we want and spend money like that, citizens are not going to accept it. I know I wouldn't. So at the end of the day, if we need to go back and address it, that's fine. Because like I said, right now the citizens would not be pleased for us to attend and join sessions that is not something that's going to benefit us. As a, when you talk about joining an organization, that's you. But does it really need? I'm not in it. It doesn't mean I can't do my job and do my duties and responsibilities here. I'm not knocking it. But what I'm saying is, if we cannot understand the intent of traveling, we need to go back, because as I stated earlier, some cities don't even allow council members to attend conferences with taxpayers' money. Some of them allow them to go every other year. So what we have here is something that can help us real good, but at the same time, we could get to a point where citizens says no. And then it's no travel. So when we're attending these sessions, free sessions, all those free sessions that you pay for that registration, all of them are education and can help us. The ones that they're charging for, can we get educated at the conference and come back and help our city without attending that? Yes. So why spend taxpayer money? My question is, and the way we can always serve it, when we get ready to do it, we'll pay for it out of our pockets. If we do that, then I think citizens will be more in favor for it. Yes, Councilman Moore.
Thank you. Mayor, has the mayor been given a copy of the travel policy so he can be made aware of what was voted upon when we changed the policy, the committee, Caprina, Thomas, and Councilmember Kinlaw and Doucette? Does he have a copy of that policy? He should have been made apprised of what was there. And if he hadn't had a copy of that, then we may, give him a copy of it so that he can review it. He may not even know what we've done. I'd like to, Mayor, do you have a copy of what was voted upon, like the times that we can leave, the times we can return? Because it was just changed, I think, in 2019 or 2018.
Yeah, you're
No,
right.
No, I
if
don't.
he had not had a copy of that, and then I know that Chrissy has a copy of it. She knows, because I know when I book my conferences, she'll say, "Oh, you know, we changed the policy. We can't go. We can't leave but the day before the conference." And right now, there's nothing that addresses the classes that we take, so we'd have to go back and readdress that. I've got the copy of the travel policy, but if the mayor is not made aware of that, then he would have to be made aware of what the policy that we adopted, and someone should have told him that.
Councilwoman Moses, I agree with you wholeheartedly, but the fact of the matter is, as council people, we should understand and read our ordinances. That's our duties, our responsibilities. Okay. Now, wait a minute. Wait. I'll give it back to you in a minute.
Hold up. When you finish that, Councilwoman Frank had been having her hand up. So when you finish your statement, and then you'll go, but Mr. Scott after Councilwoman Frank goes.
Okay.
Pull your screen up or sit back, turn, can you turn it? Because we just get in your mouth. Right.
Okay, like this?
Right.
Okay. But you know, my point is, let's understand something as council people. We should understand all of this as council. That's part of our responsibility. And also, if we don't know, we should ask. Okay. The other thing is, we have staff. And that's something else that I'll talk with the manager offline. Staff has the job of ensuring that policies and procedures are kept, even if we don't realize it. I've said it before, okay? But one thing that's prevalent here, when we travel as council people, we have to keep in mind that this is taxpayers' money. Can we go back and explain this to a taxpayer, and the taxpayer says, "Oh, okay, now I understand your point. My point here is, I just asked because I want to know why these things so I could vote." I've never been one to hold somebody for doing wrong if they didn't know. But the point is, when it's being addressed, the point that you address need to be addressed and an understanding of why, okay? Because that vehicle is a big issue with me, because either it had to be in the initial request for that trip, and we've never had transportation like that with no request. Now, the city secretary, if it was in the vehicle, if that vehicle was in there for that request, she should have said, "Well, we will get transportation for you from the hotel, from the airport to the hotel." See, so I'm not saying, I'm asking the mayor a question. I'm not saying the mayor, because if the mayor didn't know and no one told him, then that gives us an identification that not only does there's a problem with the council maybe, but it may be with staff. So either way, people have to be held accountable, and we can't hold nobody accountable until we find out where the problem is. And these questions I'm asking is to find out where the problem is so it can be addressed. That's the thing. But I can't identify if the problem is there or here unless question is answered. Now, it was $800 for transportation to and from the airport. So what was the reason for it? I mean, that's all. I'm asking questions that I would have to answer to if somebody came and asked me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilwoman Frank.
Okay, when we had the committee with Councilman Kinlaw and Councilman Doucette, there was some things changed, but there was still a guideline there. And we kind of did one for all. If it's good for us, it's good for staff. And we did also speak with the staff. We did hold the staff accountable for telling us that what we can and cannot do. Because really, at the end of the day, guys, this is not a corporation. It's taxpayers' dollars. And it is hard to explain that, because some were on council some years ago when travel was a problem, and we caught it. We did. We caught it because, you know, you have people that are struggling. And a lot of it was before Harvey, after Harvey, but citizens take that, they don't take that well. And and that has always been my pet peeve, because it's not a private entity. It is taxpayers' dollars. And for us to explain it, and especially now, because guys, with everything that's gone on with the economy, and this has been, of course, the travel was before all this, but we've been struggling. We have struggling for the economy. And it's hard to explain. It really is. It's really hard to explain, because they called, and I've been here before, and a lot of us on council now have been here before, where travel was pretty expensive, and they were hurt and they were bothered with it. But when we had the committee, we kind of just enforced it, because their guidelines, what we can and cannot do. But we did also talk to staff and ask staff to help us, because, we have to police ourselves, but sometimes, we need the staff to join in with us and say, look, you can't do it. You remember when people were leaving before the meetings, the actual conference would start. We stopped that, because a lot of times, depending on the time that you sign up, you have to sign up the next day. If you have time to drive in, we gotta be conscious of what we're doing, because it is taxpayers' dollars.
Oh, I agree with everybody. I know
Okay. Mr. Scott, he would be next.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, we're talking about taxpayers' dollars. The education part about the classes, Council Kimlaw spoke about, Council Ducette. We all understand about the classes. Okay, we want to get as much education as we can. But me being on council for longer than anybody here, okay, it's always been when we travel, and every council member up here know that when we travel, we fly to an airport, they always give us a shuttle to go to the hotel, whatever hotel we go to, and a shuttle to go back. So every council member up here knows that. That's been the way it's been done. Now, I've been to the NLC in DC. And at one time, I was located in Virginia. Okay? But I took a taxi from there to the conference hotel and showed how much I paid for a taxi. I did not rent a car. And every time we go to conference, we always have a shuttle to take us to any hotel that we are going to and to bring us back to the airport. So the education stuff, I understand. But again, we're spending taxpayers' money on doing things that has not been something that we've done all the time. Like Councilman Frank said, she's been here a long time also. So we've heard a lot of things, and we've tried to amend this thing. Councilman Kinlaw said we have to police ourselves. If we police ourselves, then we have to always look at what's the best way not to spend the taxpayers' money. That's what we have to look at. You say police ourselves, anybody police themselves, Councilman Kinlaw will be able to recognize certain things to do and what not to do. Now, going back to the staff, I'm not going to put it on staff or council. I'm going to say we as a whole, staff need to also, when we've done things a certain way, when anybody try to go outside of that, staff, you need to get permission. So again, I'm not sure if the mayor understood what all was supposed to be done, But these questions come about because it's a certain way we've done things and a certain way we should do things when we police ourselves and make sure we understand we're not spending our money, but we're spending taxpayers' money. So the questions I have about is basically when we go from one point to the airport and fly, we should always be told that we have a shuttle to take us to the hotel wherever we are, and we have a shuttle to bring us back. But to be able to rent a car, then you have to pay $300 for parking at the hotel that you're staying at. Those type of things we have to make sure we don't do. That's it. And like I said, it's about a learning experience for everybody. And hopefully everybody understand if we're going to police ourselves with a little common sense or a little compassion about who money you're spending. You're spending the taxpayers' money, not your money. Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Moses.
Yeah, and my main thing, I'm not, basically, I just want to make sure that the mayor has been fully apprised of the policy that was put in place. We all want to abide by those guidelines and make sure that we're following it and police ourselves as you all have governed ourselves as accordingly. So nobody's saying avoid that. It's just that he may not have been aware. And I think that if he was scheduling a trip that, I know that, like I've mentioned before, that, I've scheduled a trip and I said, okay, I want to leave on this day. And Christy or whomever is scheduling for me and said, oh, you remember the policy. You can't, this is what the policy says. You can't get that day, or you can't. It's not. I'm not saying the responsibility is on them. But if I've made a mistake or even said I'm going to leave this day, she has been the person to say, "Oh, Councilman Rose, you can't come back here, or you have to come back there." And I know that that's been done in the past. So, and that's all I'm asking. Has he been Mayor? Have you been apprised of the new policy? You haven't had a chance to answer. Do you have a copy of the policy? The travel policy. Have you been provided?
No, not a written copy of it or anything of that nature. I don't have that. Okay. Councilman Jones?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As Council Lady Moses stated, you should have been advised, you should have been handed a copy of that policy, travel policy in advance. When you got on board, because the policy already in place, you got on board. That's the first thing. Second thing is, we all grown adults. Before we are council people, we're grown adults. As Councilman Kinlaw says, we can police our own self. We ain't got to revisit the old ordinance about travel. We can police our own selves, about this travel policy. And another thing is, the mayor since the mayor got on board, he's been doing a lot of traveling, trying to learn things and bring back to our city, trying to educate himself more to make the city better, more advanced, than what we are now. So he just started traveling yesterday, last week. He's been kind of busy when he got on board. It was nothing addressed then, but all of a sudden now, I guess because this DC policy, this DC trip, now we're all alone about it, We can police our own selves. If it's 2 days extra you spent, like in the military, we go fight all year, and 30 days we get R&R, we get a little relaxation time or whatever, extra activities. If you took 2 extra days after a whole 5 days of hard work, I think taxpayers understand that, like I said, he just started traveling. He's been busy, just been on board. So now that he understands, now he get a copy of the policy, understand our concerns. I think to give him a copy of the policy, they'll take an advisement, how the council feel, or how council do feel about this, and we can go get past this here. It's not a big issue. We stay on something 2 or 3 hours. Mayor take an advisement what the council discussed, get a copy of the travel policy, and let's move on from here. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. City Secretary, she was lighting up. Just read the council, but maybe she came off and she got off of my screen. So go ahead, Mr. Doucette.
Yeah, well, like I said, I had a question there. We get a lot of explanations. We don't need explanations. People talk about we policed ourselves. That's what we said when we come on here. Councilman Jones, I don't want to figure out what you say, but when we go on conference, we're not going on vacations, and that's probably what some people have done in the past, believe it or not, and that's been a big issue in this city with travel, with people vacationing. No, it's not vacation. It ain't what we do. Okay, everyone travel from this city.
Hold 1 minute, Councilman. I didn't say vacation. I said it was extra days taken. While I was at this conference, I said I didn't mention the word vacation.
Okay, well,
okay.
Okay, all right then.
Okay, man.
Well, you said extra days. Okay, so that's why I thought it would say. Okay, no problem. But the point is, it's not. You see, sometimes people don't want to discuss things, but a discussion can get clarity. And when I have to answer to individual talking about any city money, I'm gonna say it like it is, and we got to have an understanding. But there is no reason for us to have to discuss this one for this trip, because as Councilwoman Moses stated, Councilman Scott stated, Councilwoman Caprina stated, we all stating the same thing. And if you really listen, everybody's stating the same thing, but has anybody ever stopped to think, if all of this existed, would we be talking about this today? Now, one thing I'm in favor of, we do not, as council people, go and depend on staff. And that's something that we learn even as early elected officials. It's up to us to make sure we understand our duties and responsibilities. We need to ask questions, because when we ask the questions, then the staff is responsible. When the staff don't give us the right information, then they're at fault. But for us to have somebody to have a travel ordinance, give a travel ordinance, no, we're not going to give the mayor all of the ordinances. Okay, so we have to just look at it like it is. I think we got the point of where we want to go here. I'm not even going to. My point is that from what we went through in this city, we cannot have this. So what we going to do about it?
Hey, City Secretary, you were just lighting up just because. Did you have something to say?
No, sir. I'm sorry. I had to.
On my screen, it lights up when the person talk.
I apologize.
Anybody else have any other remarks?
I'm done.
Okay, on this, we have to get motion to take care of this matter. B.
We have a motion on the floor, Mayor.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for now. I get a motion to.
So we already have a motion for this.
You vote.
You said we have a motion for it already? It's been so long. Okay, we have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.